Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We're broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO, Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey since the very beginning, and that's been a while now. So big thank you to Folgers. Amelia and I love you a whole lot. We're very appreciative of you, so thank you. Truly grateful also for Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for his contribution of his time, his voice, and his music for the intro that you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on your favorite platform. Also, big thank you, Steve McGinnis, the artist behind all of our banners and logos here at the show. So check him out on Facebook and Instagram. He's also, just saying, I guess his area of expertise and specialty would be the horror genre. So he's going to be, I believe, at the Niagara Falls Fan Expo. I believe that's what it is. Yeah, this coming weekend. So if you want to meet him in person, check out his artwork. You're going to be able to find him right there. So check him out if you're in the area. Again, that'll be Niagara Falls, Canada. So tonight we welcome back Reverend Barbara DeLong, who's going to be discussing the release of her new Cosmic Deck of Initiation and the handbook that goes with it, which is very cool. I was delving her website and found all kinds of cool stuff in there as always. But she touched a little bit on this on the last show. So we're going to, kind of pull back from there and come right in with that again. And then we're going to get into maybe some talk on consciousness, maybe sacred stones, that sort of thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. She's got a lot of interesting things to talk about. Here we go. Okay, Niagara Falls Comic Con.
I was wondering what you were saying, and I thought that's what it was because I know Wayne's been there.
Brain shoot.
Okay.
So we've got, hi, Wayne.
Hi, it's the smoke.
It has to be the smoke. It has to be, Dolly.
It's the smoke.
Oh, Barbara, there she is. Oh, and here is Barbara right now.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I get befuddled by all of these different ways to get into different shows. So
I don't blame you.
This one's it's
we just have one way. We don't, so I can't imagine when you're constantly guesting how confusing it can get.
Oh, very. Sometimes I even turn up at the wrong show. So
that's why we always make sure the link goes out at the very last minute, because we have so many studios on the, on the network that sometimes the codes just get mixed up. So I know if I'm already live, I know this is a studio that's working and it's safe to send out the link. So here we are. But welcome back. It's such a pleasure to have you with us again. And
thank you for having me, for heaven's sakes.
Oh my gosh.
It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. We had a really awesome time with you on the last show. And we ended off with, you were talking about your Cosmic Deck of Initiation that was soon to be coming out.
Yes.
And now it's out.
And the book is out. The cards, the cards are out too, but we haven't linked them yet to the website, but the cards are already out as well.
Oh, fantastic. What I'm going to do right here, if you guys remember, go to Barbara's website. Okay, I'm going to put up right now, and you have to go find the globe. Is that right? Do I have that correct? Go
Oh,
find the globe.
for the dots.
Click on
Yes.
it.
Give me a dot.
There we go. Give her a dot. There we go. There we go. So leave that up for a minute. So go give her a dot. And this
Okay.
is, I know, maybe I'll go find that one just to show people what it is. 1 second.
Yeah,
Okay.
my son recently took a trip to Africa, and
Oh.
I didn't tell him to be careful or have a good time or anything like that. I said, get me a dot when you're in Africa, for heaven's sakes," and he did.
Oh, I love that.
If you
I
can't
love
count on
that.
him.
No, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm trying to bring it up, but for some reason the board is just going, no, we're not quite ready to do this right now. Here we go. Okay, there we are. All right. Here we go. Okay.
That too. I'm just quickly going over there.
There we go. There it is, right there.
Yes.
It's just
Yay.
rotating. Yeah, I don't want to hear it. Couldn't find it because it's on the front page right there. So all they
Okay,
have to do is,
on your phone, it's different.
so you just have to click on it, right? That's all they have to do.
No, they don't have to do anything. They just have to actually
Oh,
be, you're in the website. So that's it.
oh,
Oh,
that's-
you got my click a few times.
yeah, me too. There we go. This is a page I was going for the first time. So the
Yeah.
cosmic, there we go. That looks a little better.
Deck of Initiation. I'm on there right now.
Right there, see? And
Yeah.
you've got like an amazing review over here as well. You guys
Mhm.
have to go to the website because there's so much stuff on it. And I like to queue it up because I always have a good time when I visit your website. So,
Well, I do too. I get lost in it, actually.
oh, you have great stuff, honestly. But I wanted people to see the deck in the book so they know what it looks like.
Mhm.
So this is what, and can they order this through your website or do they go to Amazon? What's the
Well,
best?
if you go to that website there, Cosmic Deck of Initiation, it
Yes.
says you can buy it now, and you just click that link, and it takes you right to Amazon. The
Oh,
deck
that's good.
the deck comes from a different publisher, and as soon as we get the website at that publisher set up, which should be within the next week or two, the link you can buy the deck here, and it will take you directly to the publisher that publishes the cards.
Oh, fantastic. Well, there we go, people. Now you all know what it looks like.
There's also a seeker forum,
Okay.
which is kind of fun. And it's a place where people can ask questions, and I will write the answers back to them.
Oh, wonderful. And that is on this website or is it on yours website? Because we have two different ones.
It's on my website. That website is on my website. So it's
Got it.
Cosmic Deck of Initiation website that the Seeker Forum is on. But you can sign into it. You can ask, you don't ask for a reading. I mean, there is a place if you want a reading, you can sign up for a reading, but it's really a place where people can ask questions about their spiritual journey, the cards, the handbook,
Mhm.
whatever. And I check it at least once a day and make sure.
Oh, that's lovely.
I'm coming back. Okay, good. So, okay. So have a good look at this, guys. And
Okay, so you go to the Cosmic Deck of Initiation site.
Cosmic Deck of Initiation. Where are you hiding? Where are you hiding?
Up.
Up. Got it. Okay. So which is right back where we were. Okay.
Right. Now scroll down a little bit.
Seekers Forum up here.
Oh, yeah, you can go there.
Oh, okay. There we go. Ha! Look at
I
that.
love that.
Wow. Look at that. This is great. I love it. Okay. So this is a good place for people to come and interact with you.
Absolutely.
I love it. Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nothing
No.
else is new. Not today.
Okay. If it comes back up, I'm just going to leave this over here. So check it out. So,
Okay.
all right. So a lot of, Mark Eddy. Hello. Oh, look at Mark's all geared up and ready to go. So, okay. So, tell us about the deck now, because we'll pick up where we left off in case anybody didn't hear the first show. Shame on you because the archive's been up for some time now.
The deck is really a spiritual journey. It's not. It is a deck that you can prognosticate from. Absolutely, but it's not your traditional tarot. It does not have your regular suits and things like that. It was set up so that you would be able to work on your own spirituality as you worked on your own issues, as you solved your own issues rather than having to go to someone else. So
Right.
the first 11 cards have to do with the physicality, the chakras, and that area. The second grouping of cards are the are the laws, the universal laws, and then we have universal spirituality after those, and then the astrological signs, and then some wild cards I threw in.
Right.
And basically what it does is it gives you information so that you can deal with whatever issues you're coming up against. Now, yes, you can get a reading from it. You can get a really good monthly reading from the deck. There are lots of different layouts to it. But the one that I interpreted totally is the pyramid one, which gives you 6 different cards. And I interpreted every card in the deck for all 6 areas so that as you look in the book, as you look up that particular card, there is the basic information on it. And then you have the interpretation of it as it falls in all 6 different places in that one layout.
Mm-hmm. So very user friendly, you'd say, like easy for people to teach themselves if they've never done it. Good for the novice and the pro, I suppose.
Good for both. Yeah.
Oh, good.
And I do say, these are the layouts that I use. There is a spread there that will give you a monthly layout. It'll give you body, mind, and spirit. It'll give you past, present, future. It'll give you just about anything, but that's for really the experts. The it's a deck that is very user friendly, and if you're really working with it, you can make up your own layout, and it's perfectly appropriate for you.
Right. Because looking through the images, I mean, I think people have become so conditioned to the traditional, they can tell
Yeah.
by looking at something as to what it is. Obviously, this is going to be something very different for them because
Yes.
it's different mantras. Is that right?
They're all hand painted mandalas,
Mandalas. Got it.
and I painted them all.
Yeah, they're
Nice.
beautiful.
And yeah, on the website, you don't have to go back to it, but on the website, if you go into at the bottom part, there's a cosmic deck, the old cosmic deck that's there. It's the same graphics on the new deck, but there's also a gallery of about 300 or 400 of the mandalas, the personal mandalas that I painted that are all
Wow.
around the world.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So, how did you come to choose the ones that you did? Because they're stunning. Like, was it a case of something that just calls out to you more, or you look at it and you say, "Oh, this is perfect for this"?
No, when I sat down to do the deck, I knew I was going to create something different.
Right.
I even renamed the chakras because I couldn't pronounce them.
Oh,
So
that's interesting.
I like that.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the foundation is the root chakra. Sower of seeds is, I mean, I just felt that I didn't want it to in any way relate to any of the forms that are out there.
Mhm.
So I would sit and say, okay, the first 11 cards have to be the chakra system, and so I wrote down the names that I had for the chakras, and then I added a few more to get to 11,
Mhm.
and I took them one at a time in order, and I sat with a blank piece of paper and I started to draw, and I would draw them one at a time, and I drew the first 11, and then I painted the first 11, and then I drew the second 11, and then I painted them, and
Mm.
I did them all in order. And when I wrote the handbook, I did it in the exact same order.
Wow. So when you put all it together, how long did that take? It sounds like it would be a monumental task.
The painting, the
All of
painting,
it. Yeah,
well,
everything.
the painting took from the first drawing to signing with the publisher took 9 months.
Wow.
And
That's pretty good. That's a lot of work into that.
Well, and I taught full time. I was a single parent. I would get up to go to school, teach, come home by 4. I would paint from 4 in the afternoon to 4 in the morning,
Oh,
get
wow.
a couple of hours, and then I went right back at it.
That's dedication.
And
Wow.
no, it's yes, in a way, but it's also inspiration
No,
because
yeah.
I was totally charged by it. I was never tired. I wasn't
Wow.
sick. It was really one of the best highs ever. And I did mention the handbook to the publisher, and he said, we'll write it. And I did. And he sent it back and said, do it again. And because I was, full of myself, I said, well, what does he know? I did it perfectly the first time. So
Dang, publisher. I know.
I'm not going to do it again. And so I didn't. So 31 years, 32 years later, I sat down with the cards to write the handbook. And I'm so glad I waited 30 years.
No, it wasn't the right time.
I didn't know enough.
Right.
I hadn't worked in the field enough. I just, there was this, can I channel? Yes, but not the way the book is channeled now. I mean,
Right.
that was, and I think writing the handbook only took me 3 months. So,
Wow.
and it's, I think, a little over 300 pages.
Wow. Just a little handbook, I see.
What is in the handbook other than the description?
That's a bloody
Very
novel.
nice. That's a big book.
Yeah.
Big book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So tell us about Barbara then and Barbara now with respects to your evolution and the changes that were made, like, let's
Well-
say an example to the book. Because
Well,
we
the
all
Barb-
evolve, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, the Barbara then was still sitting in a spiritual development group.
Right.
The Mandelas came because it was a homework assignment, and I did one for someone in the class, and then everybody wanted one, and then it just grew, exponentially, and to the point that I priced them so high nobody would order anymore because I was, I'd done almost 500, and
Wow.
and
Wow.
so the Barbara that created the deck was probably only maybe 20, 25 years into the field.
Right. That's still substantial.
This Barbara is like 60 years into the field.
Yeah. Right.
So, if you had asked me, for instance, is there spiritual DNA? I would have said then, sure, it's hiding someplace, but it's there.
Right.
Now, when I came to somehow spiritual DNA came up in the handbook, it was very different. It was like when parents create a child, an embryo that will become an avatar for a spirit who is going to take shape and form and work through that avatar. They create the embryo, but at the moment that the spirit enters the body, it brings with it spiritual DNA that is then interwoven into the human DNA. And so at the time of passing, when the spirit moves on to another avatar, it takes all of that material with it, along with the experiences of the lifetime.
Which you're never allowed to remember that easily.
I'm glad you said that easily because you do remember it.
I suppose it's imprinted. Some of it I find for me it's imprinted, but then I tend to get confused at times. I'm like, is this just maybe ancestral?
And some of it is.
Yeah.
But
How do you know what's what?
Yeah, good question. What she said.
You don't, but you have to assume all of it is spiritual.
Okay.
Because
That's
if
fair.
you don't, you can screw up. But in essence, you carry with you lifetime to lifetime to lifetime your Akashic records.
Right. But it's not. I'm going to go with the but thing.
Sure.
It's not so easy to remember. I think it's when you first come in here, maybe as a child. I think I always say, children are a teller of tall tales, but a lot of time the tales they tell come, like you say, it comes with them.
Yeah.
But then we just seem to lose it for a while. I think life just gets busy and pulls us away from all of it. And you almost, if you don't meditate and if you're not gifted, and I say gifted actively,
Yes.
you just don't some people never remember.
No, they don't. And maybe they're not supposed to for this
I was
lifetime.
going to say that. Yeah, maybe this lifetime's not meant for them.
Right. And
Yeah.
but it is meant for them, but not to be aware of what they are.
That's what I mean. Not to be
Yeah.
aware. It's not meant for them to know.
Yeah, and it's when you look at a child 2, 3, 4 years old, they bring with them the memory of past lives. They bring with them the areas they're gifted in. And if you look at what they are drawn to, you get a hint at where their gifts and talents are. And if you're a smart parent, you pay attention and you absolutely encourage those areas of development in the children.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I know when I was very, very young, the thing that I loved, my mother could shut me up for hours and hours and hours by giving me a whole bunch of those paper lace doilies they use under pastries,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to paint them
Mm.
They're
later on
like
in life.
mandalas.
Yes, later in life, I did
Yeah.
mandalas.
Yeah.
I would dress my cat up in dog clothes, and I would teach her. I became a teacher. And at one point, we had a couple pets that died, and I insisted on having the funerals. I became ordained.
Right.
So, it's wonderful watching a child grow up, and if you catch them that early, you really begin to know what it is they are striving for this lifetime. And the reason you don't remember a lot of stuff is that because parents are so intent on preparing you for life, they really, you have to get a job, you get married, you go to college, you have children, you die. um but they're not, they're trying to focus on survival as opposed to spiritual growth.
Mm.
And some parents, are really, really good, and they take care of both of them, and they have children that are so incredibly balanced. It's just magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's go to school, do what your teacher says, and don't bother me.
Mm.
Yeah. I think we as adults tend to ruin that for children if you're not inclined. And when I say that, I don't mean it's always a deliberate thing. But for example, when children speak of imaginary friends because they're gifted and they can see,
Oh yeah.
spirit people, and they'll hear things like, don't be silly, there's no such thing, that's so stupid, to the point where the child withdraws and then doesn't want to express
Right.
themselves in any way. I mean, I've always been open with my children. They've always spoke very openly, but it still got to a point where my daughter held on to it. My youngest son did to a degree. My middle son was extremely gifted. All of a sudden became an athlete and went, yeah, I don't do that. I was like, what? What? You grew up in this house? You most certainly do. And it wasn't until he got into adulthood where he goes, yeah, I could always do it. I'm like, oh, you yanked my chain for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it was not fun.
Well,
But
they have to fit into society. I mean, they do have to go along with the crowd to a certain degree.
yes, I know, but still, he truly was really gifted. He could just he could just see in ways. He would look at me as a young child, like maybe 5 or 6, and say, "Do you see these people?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, if I was haunted, I'd know. So I have to rule this out. No, I don't see
Yeah.
what you see. And then he would. I think it was just dimensionally. I think he could just see dimension. He would describe phenomenal things. And I'm like, how do I not know this? Because it just wasn't within my ability to see it
And of course, you recorded it.
on paper.
Okay.
I kept journals for my children. Yeah. But
Okay.
I never, I didn't, I was always able to remember most of everything they told me because it was just so fascinating. But he would describe people who were living, and it confused me at first because he would say, no, this person or this person. I'm going, they're alive. I know they're not. I don't see them floating around anywhere, and it was just very peculiar. It was very peculiar. And eventually that ability changed, or he just backed away from it. So I think it's really important as parents, as adults to nurture that in children. With my grandson, it's completely different. I'm just like, he's just a little communicator.
Well, my son, Didn't believe in any of this. Still doesn't.
Oh, wow.
Uh, but that's okay because it keeps me humble. Um,
Right. I like that. Stay humble. Doesn't
I
believe
mean,
me.
one
Yeah.
one one Thanksgiving, he said to me at the table when the family was all there. He said, "So you're psychic?" And I said, "Well, everybody's psychic, but yeah, I am." And
Right.
he said, "So you can tell the future?" And I said, "In a way." And he put a piece of paper down in front of me with a pencil, and he said, "Tell everybody what they're getting for Christmas." Nobody shopped yet. And he
Ah.
and he put it in an envelope and he sealed it with lots of tape in the inside of a cupboard door. And it came to
You're not steaming this one, Mom.
yeah,
Like on Leave It to Beaver, right?
it came to Christmas dinner. And after dinner, he went in the kitchen. He came out with this thing, and I said, "We don't need to look at that, John. I don't need to confirm." And he said, "Yeah, I didn't think you had any of it right." I said, "It's not. I don't need to prove anything to anybody." And he said, "Well, maybe I need to prove that you're not psychic." And I said, "Well, go for it." And of the 15 things I wrote down, all of them were true.
Wow.
Wow. So how did
That's
that
incredible.
leave your son?
He went and got a beer.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Why not? What do you say when you have no response? I need to self-soothe.
Well,
So,
he was. We were watching television one night in the summertime, and he was there, and I think a couple of his friends were there, and a couple of my friends were there, and we were just watching television, and just the screen door was there, and it started to rattle. No wind. And he looked, and the cats were all around, so it wasn't a cat trying to get in. He said, "What is that?" I said, "Somebody's trying to come in." And he looked at me and said, "Yeah, right." And it rattled and it rattled, and then suddenly it opened all the way, and it closed all the way. And he looked at me and I said, "They opened up themselves." And and he said, "This is freaking me out. Tell them to go away." I said, "Not me.
But
I
he
don't
doesn't believe in it. So,
Yeah, I said, "I don't care if they're here or not, John." And he said,
oh my
"Mom, I'm
gosh.
freaking out." And I said, "Then ask them to leave and do it politely."
Yeah.
And he said, "There's no frickin' buddy there." And I said, "Then you have nothing to be scared of."
Yeah. You don't have to ask them to leave if no one's there.
And his friends were saying, "John, tell whoever it is to go." And John looked at this empty hallway and he said, "Would you please leave? You're scaring me."
ah,
And the door opened all the way and shut.
Yeah. Well, you knew that
wow.
they weren't malevolent because you would have picked up on that right away, and it wouldn't have come in as gentle as it did if it was.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great story. I love that.
That's hard. Yeah, that's hard for somebody to take in if they're completely skeptical. And I always say it was always a favorite thing was to try to make a believer out of a non-believer. But how much of it is fear? Do you find it was fear with him, or do you find it was just no, I'm not going there?
I think it was no, not going there because he's very much into the church,
Right.
and he was 19 at the time. He hadn't gotten into the church at that time,
Right.
but
Mhm.
he is very, very. He's a deacon of his church, and I have to give him and his wife,
Yeah.
great kudos because
Yeah.
they no longer try to save my soul.
Right.
Um,
Right. Well, so okay, but don't we believe in spirits? I mean, the Bible speaks of spirits. Does it make it a little bit easier to accept, you think?
no, I think
Really?
he just knows that I don't do any harm.
Right.
Um, I mean,
Yeah.
he's a little uncomfortable with the fact that I am ordained, that, I have done christenings and I've done weddings and, you know,
Oh,
and at one point he said, "Well, you you can't do a christening." And I said, "Sure I can. Anyone can christen. Doctors in the operating rooms christen.
Mhm.
So it's not, you don't need a church service for it." And the spiritual church, I christen with 12 roses, and each rose is a gift that the universe promises the child.
Wow.
And
I love that.
oh, it really is so cool.
I love the
That is
spiritualist
so
church. I do.
beautiful. Yeah, they're
Yes.
fun.
And
Yeah.
the fun thing is, I give the roses to the mother and tell her to save the roses and make a sachet for the bridal bouquet.
Oh, very nice. Wow.
And
Wow.
the spiritual wedding that I do is a double hand binding. So,
That's very traditional.
oh yeah, it's beautiful.
It is. Yes. Yes. So basically your son is more of a like traditional mainstream deacon. So
Born
it's
again.
hard for him. Oh boy. Okay. So that is very, very, they're very hardcore in their beliefs. I had a friend who was a born again minister out of North Carolina, and he was also a theologian. So we used to have very good debates,
Oh yeah.
and we left each other both kind of going, which was good. But I can do that to not just, a minister of a different faith, but also a theologian. It was very
Well,
interesting. Religious
I go to
theologian.
I have often gone to church with him, and I always
Yeah.
find something to pick on the minister about. And I think
Yeah.
the last time after we were out, waiting our turn to shake hands and stuff, John said, "So what did you find this time?" I said, "Well, he was wrong when he was talking about, the 10 commandments." And John looked at me and said, "Mom, you can't go there." And so we got up and he said to the minister, "Well, she says you're wrong about the 10 commandments." And he looked
Oh,
at me and he said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, there were something like 613 of them that were given to Moses on the mountain."
I was up
And
there a long time, man. I had to be more
well,
than
I
10.
was up there
you know,
40 days.
stupid
Yeah.
things like you can't wear cotton and linen together. I mean, and how much you can sell your daughter for. Um, that's there too. And so the minister looked at John and said, "She's right." And we just left and he was shaking his head. I mean, I love going to church with him. I often
Right.
find I happen to be in love totally with the Old Testament, but not the New Testament.
I'm same.
I think a
If I
lot
have
of
to,
people in
yeah.
this field are though.
Just read the red and you can't go wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I think a
Right.
lot of people in this field are very much enamored by that. It's funny because in our field we would question who actually gave them to Moses,
Yeah.
but you couldn't say that there.
No.
But we would
No.
be like discussing, so who actually gave Moses all of those commandments?
And
Were they
which
were
God
they
are you
real?
talking about? The God of the Old Testament or the God of the New
That's right.
Testament?
Exactly. And
That's
is it
right.
a
That's
god or
right.
is it energy? Is it source? What do we call this? So it's a whole other conversation. We're not saying there isn't something greater. We're just saying we don't know what
There
it is.
absolutely is. Yeah,
Yeah,
there
I
absolutely
totally
is.
believe that there is a source of all creation, a divine source of all
Yes.
creation.
absolutely.
Yes,
I kind of
absolutely.
am not comfortable with the term God because you had the Norse gods, you had the Greek gods, you had the Roman gods. You can't put the source of all creation in the same boat with all of those others.
Well,
No.
try to tell people now that the Hebrew God Yahweh had a wife. Just a
did.
messenger, people. It's there. I'm just saying. Just saying. But it's true if you're getting
Yeah, but
into
Jesus had a wife. Where we're going with this, right?
that's another show.
Yeah, Jesus had a wife. I mean, my mother was a devout Roman Catholic and she believed in Mary Magdalene. So I don't
This
know. I don't know. Yeah. I believe in God, but I still have a little bit of Roman Catholic in me.
yeah.
Well, actually in the book I talk about the Trinity, and the Trinity is not the Catholic Trinity; it's body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, I think the church, took bits and pieces from everything. But what is interesting is when it came to be and Christianity came to be, and what brings us to mind is because, thank you, Wayne. I
Yeah.
forget about the goddess. You know,
Divine feminine energy. Yes.
that's right. And
Yeah.
and it's funny because the ancients in the ancient world, this was a really big thing. goddess temples. They're still there, and the church just built over top of them.
But religions became corporations.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And if it's a business, I don't want to worship it.
Exactly.
And somebody once asked me what master teacher, spoke through me.
Right.
And I said, well, I only have one master in my life, and that's Master Charge.
Yeah, there we go. I think people become very divided. I don't like anything that divides people. I like to see people unified. I think we really need to, unity is very important because there's just too much in life that will divide you. And I feel that when they say you should never talk about politics or religion, well, I think it's sad if you can't talk about your faith, but if your faith divides you, you need to maybe question if it's the right thing, So that it gets really touchy, but which is why I like spiritualism and I like to talk about consciousness and evolution and vibration and frequency, and because I think people can draw on things like that no matter what their faith is, because there's so many similarities.
Well, if you go back far enough in time, back to Pangea, we were one group. We were one
Yes.
family. And a lot of the tribes had group consciousness too.
Right.
And and so when you get into the essence of those times, the
Right.
memory the group memory we still have, but we don't use it, but we don't stretch out to it. We don't reach it into it to encompass everyone. Everybody's different, thank God. And
Yes.
it's sort of like without the diversity, we wouldn't grow, we wouldn't learn. So
Right.
so it's sort of like if you go way back to when we started out, we were one family.
Yes.
And then the continents shifted, and then we separated, and we each took a new our own direction. And sometimes those directions didn't coincide with each other, and we lost communication. We used to be able to communicate with animals.
Yeah.
You
Beautiful.
can do it now. All you have to be able to do is get into alpha, because people who are horse whisperers and cat whisperers and dog
Mhm.
whisperers, they go into alpha to send a picture of what they expect of the animal, and the animal sends it back.
I always talk to my dog. Always have. I
Yeah.
didn't think anything strange of it.
Like, make me a steak, mother, and she
Yeah,
does.
I pretty much. I also taught him sign language, but that's another story.
Well, it's they don't talk, but they
Yeah.
Yeah.
speak in pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know I had a cat that was having a terrible time, and I had her to the vet. Nothing wrong with her, but she was definitely distressed, and I finally sat down with her, and I went to the computer and I looked for a cat psychic. Forget the fact I was a psychic, but and when I saw how much the cat psychic charged, I took the cat and I said, "I'm a psychic."
And I'm free.
Listen to me.
and I looked at her and I said, "We're going to meditate." And I shut my eyes and I peeked, and she had hers open. I said, "No, shut your eyes." And she did. And so I pictured her distressed and wondered why. And she sent back to me a picture of one of the other cats attacking her in the litter box. I got another litter box and everything was fine.
Oh, wow.
So it
Wow.
works, but people don't take the time
Right.
to get into alpha. Alpha is easy to get into, but usually we're on our way to sleep when we go into alpha, and we
That's
don't
true.
stop in the midway and say, "Okay, let's send a message to so and so." Or,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's really the abilities and the talents that we all have are amazing, and they're
Like
massive.
dream weaving when you're in alpha state, where you can connect up to somebody else and bring them into your own dream or travel
Yeah.
together. That's so fascinating, isn't it?
Oh, and the next day you'll get a phone call from that person and say, "I had the weirdest dream last night."
Yeah, and you were in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. There was a time a number of years ago where we did astral traveling, and I did it as a group. There were about 100 people around the world, and we did remote viewing. It was remote viewing, not astral traveling. And I took them into pyramids all over the world and on Mars and the moon, and we got underground and we saw alien whatevers, and it was really amazing. And then when I brought everybody back, they would type in what they saw, the responses, and it was fascinating the things that they saw as I led them through these different tunnels and these different places.
That's fascinating.
Oh yeah.
That's fascinating for sure. I think if it would be nice to see people get back to a point where they could work on themselves. And you talk about something on your website, and I was hoping that we could, or you could, it's just your website, where we talk about cosmic forecasts and the energies for coming months. Because I read through your website and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, you are so bang on. Is that something that you can go over with everyone? Because we are in trying times. And I think
Oh,
people, they don't know what to expect. They don't even know what to expect when they get up the next day, let alone
true.
what's
True.
coming.
Yeah, I started doing the cosmic forecast a long time ago. I was doing it for every month, and then I thought, this is ridiculous, and I just did it by the year now.
Right.
And I didn't do it last year because it was scary, and I didn't want to put something upsetting
Oh,
on the website. So this year I did put it up, and I will again for next year. It these are times, and they are changing, and there are downloads coming all the time to everyone, not just spiritually oriented people, but to everyone. And a lot of the times when you see these riots and this chaos that's going on, it's because they've gotten a download and they don't understand it and they're terrified. Because these downloads don't come with a manual. It doesn't say we're opening this portal with you and you're going to be able to understand things more. And they're terrified of what's going on in their heads,
right.
and they're lashing out. And so a lot of what you're seeing and going to see is chaos. I had said, I think I said something about volcanoes going off, and a
That was
number.
very profound when I read that.
Yeah, did you notice there's one in Hawaii now that's going off again?
Hawaii, Etna, and there's another one that's developing right now.
Yeah.
Today it was just oh my gosh, I can't remember where it is, but they just talked about it on the news today. They said it's beginning.
Right.
So
And
yeah.
the circle of fire is being ignited, so to speak. And it's doing the cosmic forecast is not meant to scare people. It's meant to say what's happening is forecast to happen. It's going to happen. Our government at some point in time is going to fail, and we're going to have to reconstruct a lot of things. There is a government beneath the government. Those people who are manipulating the government we have now think they're the strong people, but there's a government behind them manipulating them, so that we're going through all of this upset of people thinking they know the best thing, and they are the person that is making the difference, and they're not. And so basically I'm stepping back now and just watching these things happen and occur, and people trying to destroy other people. That's not the way humanity was set up.
So I mean, unification. Where is it?
Yeah, and now they're admitting that there are UFO crafts that we found. What a surprise.
Yeah.
And
What about that?
my recent theory, and they change every day. So, but the recent theory is that who we're seeing are the people that were the original people on this planet. We're not the original people.
Not at all.
I agree.
And our DNA is much older than the planet. So we had to come from somewhere else. And when I was looking at just where did we come from, what I got was through a portal in a dark hole in another dimension. So we're not even indigenous to this solar system.
Wow. Yes. Do you think that's why so many people have um you have people who have apocalyptic type dreams, and very common with experiencers, I think, or contactees, but some people also think maybe that was from life from Mars because they see the red sand, they see fire in the sky, or they just, end days before coming here. It's like, and I hear so many of these stories, and I never really thought about it. And people now even they think maybe what they're having are premonitions. They maybe not so much a past
Well, it's,
imprint.
when they talk about end times, it's
Well,
not.
I mean of their end times, not ours.
Yeah,
Like,
the
yeah,
thing is, um, and Philip Lindsay has, I think, a wonderful perspective of all of this, that we go through 8 different ages over millions of years, and that we are at a place in time where we're beginning to let go of the age we were a part of and moving into the next age, and it'll be thousands of years. I think something like 17,000 years before a shift really takes place.
right.
But there are ages, and each age ends in catastrophe, but parts of humanity survive and
Yes,
rebuild.
right,
And
right.
there are other people that talk about the pole shifting, and when the poles shift, it isn't millimeters. When a pole shift actually really takes place, it can shift over 2,000 miles. S-
That
So
would, yeah, we'd be in trouble with that.
the planet can go through catastrophe, but it's not the end of the world. Um, I think that people have to understand that we are spirits on a human journey.
Correct.
If we die, we just go into another incarnation someplace else, and who knows, we could be a
Anywhere.
green blob, somebody someplace else. It doesn't even have to be human form.
Right,
But the reality is, our spirit will continue.
right.
And
100%.
so what's going on here? I mean, and I think, and I can't remember how many thousands of years it is, but the poles actually do reverse. So north becomes south and south becomes north.
Hmm.
And I think we're getting close to one of those times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll see it, but I think we're moving into a place where the poles are shifting and changing so much so that you're going to start seeing the landmass in Antarctica. And once a lot of that ice goes away, they'll be able to get beneath the surface into the caverns that are beneath there, where there's a whole nother culture.
I agree with that. I mean, they're already, just through technology, been able to see a large freshwater lake under the ice. And I mean, a huge chunk of the shelf just literally popped off. What was it, last year? The
Yeah,
end of the year before? So I think, yeah, you're right. It's definitely happening. You see it everywhere.
I mean, look at Operation Paperclip, when
Mm,
Admiral Byrd, after he flew into,
yes.
um, he said he flew into Middle Earth. I don't think he flew into Middle Earth. I think he flew into a cavern that was the um, the Nazis that were there, because they spoke German and they had swastikas on their uniforms. So
Right.
I'm not sure I buy, you know, Middle Earth as much as I do believe there are the caverns, and there are scientists that were there. There are
Hmm.
submarines that are still there. But when Admiral Byrd, with his fleet, you know,
Hmm.
barreled into the region to take over everything arrogantly, they got their tails whipped.
They did, were chased right out. I know. I
they went
know.
they went home,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
nothing
I
was
know.
ever said of it. But he lost a lot of men.
Oh, he did. But do you think, I mean, if there's caverns there, like we'll just go back to the Middle Earth theory for a moment. Do you not think that somewhere, because I mean, let's just look at Europe, for example, city being built over top of city over
Hmm.
time. And you don't think maybe that there are ways in? Well, I mean, we've had guests on the show who have said that they have gone in, like hiking into the mountains. And let's face it, we've got a lot of power spots.
Oh yeah.
The United States is like Mount Shasta. You've got the Red Mountains, just to name a couple. Do you think maybe that there are ways in, or do you think maybe perhaps your portals ways in, stargates, that sort of thing?
Well, I don't think there's hollow earth.
Hollow Earth. Yeah.
But I do think that there are cultures and people that are living beneath the surface that we don't know.
I agree with you. Yeah.
A lot of the Indians talk about the ant people.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
Correct.
this bugs me so much. They talk about these mysterious forms. They're not weird looking anything. They happen to live beneath the sand, so they're called the ant people because ants
That's
live
right.
beneath the surface.
Yes.
They're people like you and me,
Right.
probably a lot paler, but they did rescue people. They did take them beneath the surface, and there's plenty of places. Darren Kuyu has those 13 stories of under the earth, the caverns that
Yes.
I think they said something like 5,000 people with cattle could have survived there.
That's crazy, isn't it? When you think about it. But I mean, there's people who have they've told stories of going into the mountains and hiking and getting into caves and coming out and seeing like an entire ecosystem.
Mhm.
And they come back up, and it's funny though how they can never find their way back.
Isn't
Funny,
it though?
right? Just spray that guy with the magic plant. You know,
Well, could
so-
it's kind of like it's like I am with grays. I've never seen one, so until I see one, I don't believe in them.
right.
So
I've seen one. Yeah.
if one comes up to me and talks to me, I'll say yes, there are grays. I have no problem with that.
I just
But
said nope, and I rolled over. Nope.
I'll do it.
That's it. No, I don't think so.
Not
tonight.
tonight.
I have a headache.
I have a headache.
That's it. Nice.
That's funny. Pretty
Oh my
much
gosh.
just like that.
Yeah, no.
Very respectful. And that was the end of that. So, well, maybe then I fell asleep. Maybe it wasn't the end of that.
But
Yes.
when you get to that, then you have to say, okay, what was this? Was this a fold in time?
Right.
And what you're seeing is a past occasion, a past event that has been
Mhm.
frozen into that time frame. Are you seeing another dimension? Are you seeing an egregore? I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't have to be an alien who wants to eat your brain.
No, exactly. No, no. I think some of them are much, kinder than what media would have you believe. And Dolly made mention of something here. Well, yeah, if you can. There we go.
Yeah, Dolly says a whistleblower admitted it. The government still has deniability.
Of
Yeah.
course.
A whistleblower just recently, didn't he come through
Yeah.
and spill the beans sort of thing? But my question is, when you're looking at ex-military, Air Force, Navy, and Dolly could probably chime in because she's falls under that category, you don't really get away with doing that. It makes me wonder, like, yes, the government's denying it, but I tend to wonder, was he maybe instructed to be able to talk about a certain amount of information to kickstart Bluebeam.
Well,
Just
well,
kick Bluebeam up to the curb and get it going, you
well,
know?
you've got to understand when 1947 happened,
Yeah.
the government started to lie. And when you lie, another lie covers it up, and then another lie covers it up.
Right.
And it's to the point where the government can't admit how much they've got because then they have to admit that they've covered it up, and we're going to want to know why.
Yes.
So this could be it's letting material information out there slowly
Mhm.
so that they have plausible deniability, but yeah, that's really what happened.
Right.
This guy, I saw the interview, he's about as believable as they come.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's not magic, it's another culture that has developed something above
Yes.
and beyond what we have.
Correct. And I think Bob Marley says it correctly.
Greedy men hiding technology.
At the
Yeah.
That's
end of
been
the
going
day,
on forever. It's all comes down to money, all of it.
it's
Well,
true.
look at all of the
Yeah.
wonderful inventions that are out there that the government has bought and squashed their patents so that they couldn't develop them because it would compromise the gas company or big pharma or
Yes.
wherever. I
Mhm.
mean, you cannot tell me they do not have a cure for cancer. I know they do.
Oh, they do. They do.
My father was in the FBI during World War II, and he went out to a place in Long Island where they had a brand new car, and they filled the tank with water, and they dropped a little white pill in it, and the car ran perfectly, no emissions.
But that would not allow, a lot of people to make a lot of money. It just goes
Well,
back
countries.
to the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just the machine.
but
Feed the machine.
those greedy people can do it someplace else. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, and now they're doing away with gas everything. I don't know what they think they're going to run on, but
I don't think that's going to work. I think the environmentalists eventually will catch on to what it's doing to the world. And when these lithium batteries stop working, then what? Where do you dispose of them?
oh, that's even a problem I hadn't thought about. But
Yeah.
when you stop to think about it, the charge for the cars to charge them comes from coal.
So does the and diesel is what fuels the machinery that are digging and mining for
Yeah.
these batteries. It's not well thought out. It's very well played.
Mhm.
And I think people need to catch the perspective on this. It's very well played. They can't mine without diesel.
No.
There are no such thing as an electric bulldozer. That
Or
doesn't
crane.
exist. So or crane.
Plane.
Yes.
Even the planes
So-
that all these bigwigs are flying around on. Not gonna get
Even
too
Musk
far on
hasn't
electric.
tried to build those. You notice that? If Musk isn't touching it, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. He hasn't built the equipment and the machinery to mine this on battery. Why? Because it's
And-
not going to work.
And
Right.
yet they have those huge machines underground that are plowing tunnels
Yes.
underneath everybody.
Diesel.
And the machine melts the rock so that there's nothing that has to be disposed of. And are they nuclear? I don't know, but I do know they've been mining here in Nashville because we could hear it.
Mm. Wow, you can hear it.
You could hear it, and you could feel the vibration.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
a giant drill bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can't have anything left behind because how are you going to get it out?
Right.
You can't. You're not going to
Right.
get it out. So it does melt everything. I would like to see the statistics on how many deaths there are of the people who work that mining, that tunnel driven system. And Bob Marley says AI. I don't think AI is going to be running bulldozers in our lifetime. You're talking about multi-billionaires money. They're not going to rely on AI. It's cheaper to run humans.
What's running the moon buggy thing that's gathering information? That's AI.
Mm.
Yeah.
A small scale.
Very small. Yeah.
Small scale, yeah.
I don't see them mining anything. Not in our lifetime. I'm not saying ever. I'm saying in our lifetime because believe me, Musk would have been on top of it. He would have been all over it.
Well, he might just be quiet about it too. He's not a stupid man. Yeah.
No, but he would have had it out by now. I mean, he has a new Tesla out that looks like an SUV, and there's a waiting list for it.
I think there's a difference between stuff that the public can have access to than just stuff that maybe gets designed specifically for, for industry or government or that sort of thing. I tend to wonder though.
I don't think Musk would comply with the government to have something like that out there.
No, but I think
not in one hand.
I would think that he is more interested in going to the asteroids and the comets and mining them.
Yeah.
Because
it makes the most sense for sure.
Oh, yeah. And the moon has too many people on it now already. It rings. It's hollow. I mean, the
It's
dark
true.
side has all
It's true.
sorts of
Mm-hmm.
outposts for different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
what gets me is, we look at Antarctica, which really blows my mind.
but
We have our little outposts, and we have our outposts, and China has theirs, and Japan has theirs, and then Russia has theirs, and they all get along just fine.
Right.
And yet
Funny that.
they're wiping people out all over the place. Other than that,
maybe it's just too cold. I'm
Right.
kidding. I'm kidding. I had to lighten that up. I got
Nobody,
really
nobody
dark.
wants. Yeah.
No pun intended, because it is dark there right now. Until August, they're not going to have any sun. I
Right.
follow a group of Americans that are stationed out there on TikTok, and I love the stuff that they post. It's so funny. It lightens everything up. Like how to freeze spaghetti in midair within 30 seconds. Just leave it outside.
yeah.
But it's stuff like that.
Then you have a spaghetti sickle.
Yes, they're hilarious. I would imagine you have to, you have to,
Oh, you
you
have
have
to.
to
It
entertain
takes the right
yourself.
kind of person to be.
You have to
that
entertain
way,
yourself to be. You're in the dark with 3-4 other people at most, and
If you fling the spaghetti, it can become a weapon.
yeah, they leave
Wet-
the fork
wet
in it too.
noodles.
It's hilarious the way they do these tricks. It's really fun to watch
Right.
because I can't imagine being them. And I
There
wonder
was-
about the pictures they take that they're not allowed to show us. And does anything get edited before they go on? How do they even have the internet? So you're in
Well,
the middle of nowhere.
They are definitely censored.
Yeah, they
For
have to
sure.
be.
They're-
Because
they're-
can you imagine the
You
stuff
need
they're
permission
photographing?
to go there, though, don't you? Unlike other, because it is like a continent.
Yeah.
But you need permission to be able to go there.
And you can only go on the edges.
Why?
Yeah, they are on the edge.
Ah. Why? That's what I want to know. I know. But you know what? You talk about it and people are just like, where's your tin hat? It's like, just, you have a group of people who are like, yeah, we want to know. You have another group of people like, we just don't really care. And another group of people like, well, we won't believe it anyway.
Yeah, but look at Star Trek. When Star Trek came out, they had the doors that opened and shut.
Yeah.
Ooh, how cool. They had the flip phone tricorders.
Yeah.
They had, I mean, if you stop and think, almost everything they had on Star Trek, short of the beam me up Scotty, we go to the grocery store and the doors open and they shut. That's no big deal.
Right.
And the
yeah.
cell phones.
See, that's a chicken and an egg thing for me. Which came first?
Yeah, it's true. No, that's
Did
true.
they create this based on Star Trek, or did Star Trek have it because we already had it in another dimension? So that plays with me.
That's possible.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
possible. I know that we are there are portals all over the planet.
Mhm.
And there are interdimensional visitors back and forth for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's how
And-
Scotty beamed him up, right? Portal. I've never watched an episode, but yet,
Oh.
because everybody talks about it, I feel like I've seen them.
Well, and it's I think that's how the crop circles are made. I think it's time travel and it's interdimensional.
Wow.
And the orbs come in, they find a good field, they signal back, somebody comes in and they freeze time, always at night,
Mhm.
and people won't miss a couple of hours frozen at that time.
Mhm.
And they do the graphic, whatever it is. And I think the graphics are actually a language that we are too dumb to decipher.
Well, there have been some that they've deciphered and that they've responded to.
Yeah, they there was one that had the binary code in it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
Exactly.
fascinating.
It took years, but it was interesting because it was a response. I thought to myself, my gosh, it's just there's intelligence behind these
But they
things.
probably have a non-intervention code of some sort. Star
Like
Trek
the
did.
prime directive. Darn it. I know. But there's so much to it, because if you think back, allegedly, if you get into the exopolitic thing, that Gene Roddenberry was asked, because he did meet with the council, what was it, the Council of Nine? Is that even a thing? But
Yeah.
he did meet with somebody and was asked to create something to make us, was it like an experiment, like to condition us to, different life forms? Would we
Make us
be
more
okay?
comfortable with the
Yes.
fact that there are
Yes.
outsiders there.
Yes.
I would,
Curiosity.
yeah. Well, I would think so. I mean, originally the government said that if we knew about the extraterrestrials, that it would panic us, and everybody knows about them.
Nobody, I don't know who's panicked. Government panics you. Well, need to hide $300
You're
trillion.
panicked?
Oh, I don't. I'm
300
not.
billion.
It's so bizarre because it's like I'm the person that talks to dead people. I believe in them. I believe they were here before us. From what
She's
I've learned,
in
having
denial.
many guests. Yeah.
That's what it is. Denial.
I don't want to remember anything. I don't feel ready. But
Okay.
I never say they don't exist, ever. Never, never, never. I never did. I always believed in them from little. And I think it's because I had 3 older brothers who did and talked about it all the time. They were Star Trekker, like they were Trekkers. They were into
Trekkies.
the Star Wars, Trekkies, whatever. See, like I don't even know. I've never watched it. I was the only girl. So it was hockey, whatever they talked about. Sasquatch was huge in our house, that kind of thing, right? But I believe in it. I believe they were here before us. I'm not in denial about that. I'm not like, oh my gosh. I do believe in it. I just don't want I've seen too many horror sides of it.
So it
Well,
scares you a little bit.
Yeah,
And
a little bit. I don't
That-
want to remember.
that's what happened after 47. Science fiction got involved, and they made these awful, awful pictures of aliens and how they were destroying things and how they were taking over and how they were manipulating us and the whole thing. I mean, they put so much fear out there that nobody has a chance. And unfortunately, our government, if they saw one, would probably shoot it, would probably kill it. I mean, my heavens, look what happens when we have a spiritual master coming to Earth. They killed him. I mean, different, unique. You can work
Mhm.
miracles. We got to kill you and get rid of you because we don't want people thinking about this stuff. I
Mhm.
mean, so is Jesus coming back? Not if he's smart.
That's true. It's true. It's
So you could have came and left again.
Well, but he awakened the consciousness in all of us,
right.
Yes.
and the consciousness is there.
At a time where no one understood that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
It's
course not.
different. Yeah.
So when you talk about, because you talk about, developing consciousness, even when you're talking about your cosmic forecast, is that what people have to do to try to get through all this, is just tap into themselves, this whole consciousness, this
Well, the reality is your purpose, my purpose, everybody's purpose here on the earth plane
Mhm.
is to develop and evolve the spirit we carry within.
Yes.
And the more you are in contact and communication with that spirit, the greater your understanding of the cosmic awareness that is available to you.
Mhm.
Most people, most people have the perception of, this is my life. This is all there is. I grab all I can. And when
Mhm.
I'm gone, I'm gone. And yeah, but your spirit goes on. Your personality may not go on. Maybe it's just as well. But, it's sort of like, you have to understand that we are eternal beings ourselves inside our avatars.
Mhm.
And so when people people today, especially with the downloads coming in, It's kind of understand yourself, get to know yourself, use
Right.
meditation, use journaling, use whatever form is appropriate for you, because you can't go to another for advice about your journey because all they know about is their journey.
Mm-hmm.
So, if somebody asked me about choices they should make, I can give them philosophy to utilize to decide for themselves, but I
Mhm.
can't tell them what direction to go because that would be what I would do, and that's not on my path. They're not on my pathway.
Mhm. Right. Right. So I mean, you say people think, about themselves, their own journeys, but because we're here by, I'm here, this is my life, I worry about me. But realistically, we're not. We're all on this collective consciousness. We're all on this cycle together. And I've tested this theory. I'll take some random word. Like I've talked about this before on the show. It's hilarious. I'll take some random word that you don't hear very often. I think one time it was like swell. It was just something out of like whatever, the 50s. That's swell. And before you know it, I start hearing it, like I'll see it on TV.
Mhm.
I'll hear people saying it. I like to read through social media. I'm not a big communicator per se, but then all of a sudden I'll see the word come up and I'm just like, ha. So we really are connected, and like our thoughts travel and we
we
hear
we
it.
are we are connected, but we are
Yes.
not one,
Right.
and everybody's in a different place.
Right.
You could be here because this lifetime you're working on compassion, insightfulness,
Right.
spiritual awareness,
Right.
and I could be here because I'm working on communication, um, art,
Mhm.
whatever. So we're all working at different places in our evolution.
Mhm.
Lots of people have, they talk about old spirits and new spirits. It,
Yes.
it isn't that they've been recreated or created new, it's that old spirits have incarnated a lot more than new spirits have.
Mhm.
And new spirits often don't understand what the devil is going on.
Yeah, it's almost like they got kind of tricked. Go through that door. It's okay. You go through that door, it's like, what's going on? Where the
Or,
older spirits are like, yeah, we're not coming around this round. We're going to
but,
wait
but,
it out.
but I'm finding that people who have spirits who survived the Holocaust don't come back for quite a while.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Oh, that's a lot of hardship and
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
lot of lessons in a
it,
short amount of time.
But
exactly.
Yeah.
And highly spiritual information, to understand why it happened and how it happened to them and why they needed to experience it. And I think the important thing for everybody to remember is no matter what the lesson, no matter what the challenge you have, it's for a positive effect in your life.
right.
It's not like you put your hand in fire and you get burned. It's not a negative. It's always a positive. And sometimes some of the lessons are devastating. And
Right.
yet the positive that can come out of it, parents who have lost children often will start to form organizations to protect children in many different ways.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
use it as a very personal, a very positive experience. And sometimes, they go into service of some sort, on a religious aspect, and sometimes they don't. But I think you will find that no matter how
Mm.
devastating something is, there is a positive you take from it. And when you find that positive, you move forward, um, in new directions, which are very important for your spiritual development.
I
Mhm.
believe that 100% because I'm witness to that. My mom's cousin, her son was abducted and tortured and molested for a few days and then murdered.
Whew.
And he was 11 years old. And she and her husband speak at different police academies,
Mhm.
as well, here in Canada, it's colleges. And they have pushed a bill through in this province that states that anyone who is a convicted sex offender has to register with the list. And I've seen it with a friend whose daughter at 33 in Colorado was murdered. She went boots on the ground and developed a child ID kit and was handing it out for free because her only child was murdered, and her two granddaughters were left without a mom. And she helped so many other people because of it.
Yeah,
So
and
I do believe in some people are just really, really incredibly
Driven.
driven, and I think it comes from a deep place in their soul and their heart to be able to give that energy to make sure someone else doesn't go through it.
Right.
That's not something that's easy, you know,
Not at
to
all.
come back from. So
and I mean, coming back in this time, because this is a trying time. Amelia and I have talked about this specific time. It seems that there are certain types of people who have returned this time around. And after reading, the only reason I'm bringing it up is after reading your cosmic log, it's like it sort of reflected on what Amelia and I have spoken about. It takes a certain type of person to be able to live within this time, and people who will make differences, and people who will be able to educate or draw attention. Or are you in agreement with that?
Well, yeah, I wrote it. Yeah.
Talk about it.
Very much agree with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I sat there and looked at it after. Lots of times when you write stuff like this, you sit back and say, "Whoa, did I write that?" It did talk about how a lot of the spirits here today incarnated in this time frame, because it is definitely a difficult time of transition, of consciousness, of philosophy, of understanding. And these older spirits do bring a sense of stability and wisdom into a lifetime that can help others to sort of help to understand that this is not the end of anything. It's more a beginning of something new. And, we're not going to be destroyed. We're not, while I think there's a lot of upheaval for sure. And if you look at the Ukraine, I think one of the things that I said in this last cosmic forecast was that countries' borders were going to change, as were some of the borders of the United States.
Yes.
So, watch for that.
Which is frightening in itself. We will pick right up. After that, we have to do I just took a sip out of my Folgers cup and realized it's that time.
yeah, we have to pay the bills.
Yes. That's right.
We definitely have to pay the bills. Okay, well, good evening, everyone. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are currently airing live 105.3 and 107.7 FM radio. We're also streaming live and archived on Roku. So if you're watching on us for the first time on Roku, or I hope the several times on Roku, thank you for joining us. Please share us with your friends. Don't forget Wednesdays and Thursdays. Our guest tonight, returning guest, is the lovely Barbara DeLong, and we started off with the Cosmic Deck of Initiation, her beautiful cards, and her companion book. We've also posted her website, which is barbaradelong.com, if I'm not mistaken, Michelle. I got that.
That's right.
Right. So it's hername.com.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Check it out. You've got to see those cards. They are stunning. And they were all painted by Barbara herself. If you are just tuning in, you can stream our archives on any platform that you normally use, so you're not missing anything. And if this is the first time that you're listening, please go over to your streaming platform and listen to the first show that we did with Barbara. It was amazing. A huge thank you to the incredible people at Folgers Coffee for sponsoring our show. We love you. And we are so grateful for the continued support from day one. You've always been with us, and we hope it is a long relationship. A shout out and thank you for our intro and outro to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. And of course, his voice is on that music that you're listening to as well. And where can you find his music? On Amazon and Bandcamp. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. He's constantly dropping clips if you want to give him a try and you just want to listen before you buy, but I guarantee you, you're going to love it. If you are watching us on Facebook, this is where I sound like the school teacher. If you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and follow, and don't forget to share us. Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you for
A little
that.
tongue-tied. It's Thursday.
I know.
It's Friday Eve. I like to call it Friday Eve.
One thing I forgot to mention is
Yes.
once the book and the cards have launched, which probably will be in another couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing a radio show once a week and doing readings with the Cosmic Deck.
Oh, so they should go to your website for that. Or should they go to
Nightlight Radio?
Oh, okay. Can they get that through your website?
Absolutely.
There we go. Okay, so everything is right there. Okay. What I'd like to do now is in our last half hour is talk about sacred stones, because I watched your video today and I thought, oh my gosh, I am a lover of, I was gonna say old things, but I am, and I truly love the past. I love anything that's just our history, anything that's ancient. It's so interesting to find all of that on this side of the world. And you must, of course, have gone to America's Stonehenge, because that's out your neck of the woods, isn't it? Okay, good. Because he was on the show. And Dennis was just so kind in showing images and things of that nature. But you're saying this is like everywhere.
Oh, yeah. And actually, Dennis used Secrets of the Stones in his visitor place for a while.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Yes, I know Dennis.
Oh, he's wonderful. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
He's such a sweet person. So kind.
And his last name just happens to be Stone.
I know.
Really.
I know.
No coincidences in this life.
I think what that I'm going to do a book on the Secrets of the Stones at some point, because while the United States has, especially the Northeast, has a preponderance of the chambers that we went to, they're all over the world, and it's fascinating. In this country, they don't know who made them, who created them, and at one point there were over 800 of them in the Northeast. Now they're down to 200.
What happened?
Well, they take them apart to build patios with.
Oh my!
They're built with corbelled construction, which is kind of like when you stack dominoes like this.
Yes.
And there's no mortar or anything.
Like a nook shooks. Yes.
And the lentils are incredibly heavy. But we had them all over the Northeast. They are basically in this half of the country. But the stone walls, the snake walls that we have are here. I mean, this country had more stone edifices than Egypt. And it's just that because they aren't as, when you talk about ancient, you think about Egypt and Rome and Greece, but
it's only because it's populated.
We have that much here.
Yes.
And South America was never, I do not believe, was ever under an ice shield or anything. So the temples that are there are phenomenal, and the stones there are just horrendously huge. The largest stone in America's Stonehenge is bigger than the largest stone in the Great Pyramid on the Giza Plateau.
Isn't that fascinating? Yeah, that is fascinating to me. But when I asked Dennis, I said, where do you think they came from? Who do you think put them together? He's just like, You know, what are your thoughts on that? Because I mean, there's miles of these things.
Oh yeah. No, they're all over, and I believe they come from before the last ice age.
Yeah, that would be right. That would make
And
sense.
I think that they're a remnant of a culture from that time frame. I have been in probably about 100 of the chambers
Hmm.
in the Northeast with my late husband Patrick, and I found that it was what was amazing was that they're watertight. They don't have a door, but there was never any water in them. There were never any bugs in them. When you were in them, you had the same feeling as one feels when they're in a crop circle. There's a feeling of there's ozone. Um,
Oh,
and it's
ozone.
yeah. And now I'm a medium, and if there had been a burial there, I would have sensed it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No dead people there at all.
Mm.
And I don't think it's because they moved on because they're so old. I just don't believe they were ever used as
Well,
burial chambers. They definitely were not used as storage for food because they have no cross ventilation and they have no doors. Um,
hmm.
so
So they weren't
I
dwellings. They were.
no, and there's no evidence of a fire in them because there was no ventilation. So I believe most of them are quartz. They have quartz in them. They're granite, and I think that they were communication,
Mhm.
Ah, yeah.
and I think that they also were portals, so that so that they're turned off now for sure, but people use them to keep their garbage cans in. Um, it's just it's pathetic. And Secrets of the Stones was Patrick was in California and I was in Connecticut, and he sent me a video and he said, "Do you know anything about these chambers?" And I said, "I live in the middle of them." Yeah. And when he came out, we decided that maybe there should be something done to help preserve them because they were
Mm.
being destroyed on a very regular basis. And that's why we did Secrets of the Stones. But in many ways, if you stop and think, how does one generation leave a message for a future generation?
That's right.
And paper doesn't work.
No.
And so the only way you can really do it is with stones. And I think one of the most fascinating things that I found lately are the Dropa stones. Are you familiar with them?
Yes, very much so. Yes.
1939.
Yes.
And the message in them that they were from an alien spaceship that crashed,
Yes.
and the tribe that's there now is 3 feet high.
The descendants. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just fascinating. Um, I know people are still trying to decipher some of those things. They're
But
really amazing to look at.
it's the same with Göbekli Tepe,
Yes.
and there's another one too that
Even
they've just
older.
discovered. Yeah,
Yes.
but all of their engravings and everything, and when you look at the ones in South America,
But they tried to bury those.
yeah,
That's what was interesting. They tried to bury the entire complex,
they did bury it,
which is like
but I think they knew the catastrophic something was coming, and they were trying to preserve it, and they did.
it was brilliant. I
I mean,
think
Wow.
what would you know you know a comet hits and
Mhm.
everything is wiped out?
Right.
What of our culture is going to be around?
Well, on this side of the planet, we're taking everything. Well, I won't even say that. It's everywhere right now in this day and age. Everything they're taking,
No,
we don't preserve enough.
the only thing I can think of that would survive is the Mount Rushmore, not Mount Rushmore. Yeah, is that where all the heads are?
Mhm.
Mount Rushmore,
Mhm.
and I don't even know
Mhm.
if they would survive because I the more I look at what's happening around and statues that are being destroyed and everything, sooner or later they're going to dynamite those too. So there will be no message left of this time frame
Mhm.
in stone because we haven't done anything in stone.
I think the only hope that you have for that is that stone resonates and absorbs. And I know we had a friend who was on the show who was a stonemason, and he works very much in the old ways of stonemasonry in Scotland, Sean Williamson. And he spoke of working in a church or the cathedrals, because he does a lot of restoration
Mhm.
as well, and that they were able to audio record within the walls and chambers, and they were able to pick up like chants and voices. It
How
makes
cool.
Is that not cool?
Yeah.
It is. I think it's the most amazing thing. And I know there's a place in the U.S. and I cannot for the life of me remember where it is, but there's a location called the Singing Stones.
Yeah. It's in around Cleveland, in there someplace.
Is it? Well,
Yeah.
well, you can literally play them like a xylophone,
Yeah.
and they have different frequencies. Is that maybe the key frequency within the stones
Well, I
that
also,
they can record? They can record voices, sound.
I think our generation is going to rely upon radio signals
Yeah.
that can be picked up, that will float around endlessly. And, spaceship cruising by will hit our channel and suddenly hear, God forbid, some of the music that is out there today. But,
Yeah. Something's wrong with these people. Keep going. I know. I'm
I
a
think
lover
so.
of music, so
But when you look
Yeah.
at, we have left nothing in stone that will survive a catastrophe.
no, it's true.
However, there are pockets of people underground. We have left arcs of DNA in many different places, theoretically, to grow another population at some point in time.
And seed
Yeah.
places as well, just to regrow, food, trees.
Assuming there's earth to grow in.
Yeah. Mm.
No, I mean, we are a generation that has left nothing of prominence.
We're wasteful. We're very wasteful. It's all about get the best TV, this year, and next year you needed a better one or the better car. We waste a lot.
Oh yeah, and Solaris Blue Raven and I do a show once a month, and the next thing we're going to go into is what were the 7 wonders of the world, and what are the 7 wonders of the world now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the one that struck me the most is that crystal cave they've got down in Mexico, I think,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
with the crystals that are so huge that it's unbelievable.
They're like pillars, and
Yeah.
they've been around for thousands of years. And yeah,
They're still there.
I've
It's
actually
amazing.
posted that just last week.
Synchronicity.
I keep
Mm.
sharing it every time it comes up because I think people need a reminder.
Well, now those crystals do hold messages for sure.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
But people forget when they see quartz movement, that's your watch. There's a crystal
yeah.
in it. That's how it's moving. There's no battery. And they just look at you and they realize, oh my God, when they say, I'm not into crystals, are you wearing a watch? that's not, a smartwatch. Yeah.
But
You're into crystals.
Maybe that's the key. Should people, I don't know, to record a piece of yourself,
Mhm.
or, going to some of these sacred locations, should we not be, maybe, for speaking from our standpoint, meditating into the crystals and not taking from the crystal, and maybe putting some of our energy in there? Because, I mean, as a medium, you would know you can pick that up and pick up.
Yeah.
That is so funny because they are to the left of me. So they have recorded every show we've ever done for the last 3 years.
Uh-oh.
I never thought about that. And I'm laughing because there's a huge quartz next to me. And I've got selenite behind me. So it's
We're
like,
going to
wait a
get
minute.
this conversation right now. So,
Yeah.
so
But
the crystal caves then.
you really want to, though. It bothered me that this time frame, this generation, or the last couple, we haven't, we've had wars, and don't really want to leave that message there. But
No.
but there have been some very wonderful things that have come out of these generations, and the hope of a whole culture, a whole species is here. And if you look at some of the science fiction things, every now and then there'll be a thing they put in a slide, and a holograph comes up of a person talking about how their
Yes.
culture was destroyed. And I think that we may come to that point at some time frame. Look at the Georgia Stones. I mean,
Yeah, the guide stones that were destroyed last year. But
That's
that
the
again,
second time
that's
that's come
because
up.
of misconception, not really knowing what they mean, because people see things in black and white.
yeah. And only one of them was, what I find fascinating, only one of them was destroyed.
They took
The
them
other
all down.
the other two, they just plowed under.
Yes, it's very sad, but that's I think where we've come. That's what we've come to with society, erasing history, and you can't erase the history. You see a statue, you don't like it, you don't want to commemorate it. Okay, well,
Walk
I think
away.
that statue is a reminder of something that you should never do again if you don't respect it.
It's a part of the history.
Yeah,
It's a
And the
part
walk
of
history
away
it.
is,
if it bothers you.
yeah, and the history is important for us to remember.
I'm
And
sorry.
no, I strongly feel that it's wrong to destroy stuff like that, but our culture as a whole is going crazy. I
It,
mean,
it absolutely is. But you know what is a problem as well, is our education system is not including that history in the curriculum. Therefore, this generation of I'll protest anything just to be protesting, and they always start at the wrong spot. It's like you
oh
need
yeah,
to go bigger. Where you're at is not going to change anything.
I mean,
If they're not taught, how are they going to know what
these
it
kids
means?
aren't taught to read. I
No.
mean, most of the reading levels are way below where they should be. Our education system is so far down on the tagpole that it's ridiculous.
In Canada as well, it's horrible. I mean, they can't even tell the time. Digital clock has been around for a while. I thank God my daughter will be 26 in September, and she is the last generation in this province to have learned cursive writing. That's sad.
That's very sad.
That's
Yeah.
sad
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's been 20 years they haven't taught it. That is sad.
No,
You
I'm a school teacher too, so it's like if I had a child today in school, they would be homeschooled.
I agree. 100%. I do agree with that.
But then the parents have to be literate too, which helps.
I did both. I put her in the system and I taught her at home because she had those off days. So
Well, some parents have to work too. It's just it's so difficult because society puts you in a place where a lot of people are working two jobs, or you do have to have both parents working. It's so hard to be able to have the luxury of teaching your child at home. Just bouncing back for a minute, you were talking about discussing the seven wonders of the world, what they were then, the seven ancient wonders of the world, which how many of those are left? One?
One,
Right?
the Great Pyramid.
Yes. And it's unbelievable. I've been there, I've been inside of it. I did not appreciate it then the way I would appreciate it now.
you need to go back.
Yeah, right. Because I got time for that. A vacation was that.
You make time for it. You call it research and you make time
Call it
for it. You only
research.
have one life.
It's work. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the only chance you get till you come back again. You might not be interested.
I'll always be interested. I was interested then. I just think the way I see the world, or the way I see a lot of this, is so different now. But looking at, again, the current wonders of the world, what do you
Yes.
think out of all of them? I mean, out of the seven, I say current, we have Niagara Falls, we've got the caves, as you say. What else is there, do you think, that would be? I mean, you don't see them trying to take down the falls. You don't see
Or the Grand Canyon.
Or the Grand Canyon, yeah. And look
They
at what they're
have
finding
tried-
in the canyon.
They have tried to change Mount Rushmore. They wanted to create an addition, and that was pushed aside, thank God.
Well, there's Göbekli Tepe.
Yes.
I'm going to be. It's going to be tough to really figure out something that is either natural or man-made. Victoria Falls in Africa.
Yeah, beautiful, unbelievable place.
Just phenomenal.
Yes.
How about now non-modal? I would love to see somebody do something with non-modal because they haven't even dipped into what that is.
Hmm.
And it supposedly is marking the place where Lemuria sank.
Mm.
So it's but
Lemuria, yeah.
as far as something new, there aren't a lot.
Tibet must have a lot of hidden,
Mm.
because they're so protective of everything.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would imagine they probably got a few things hidden there, and unless you're exploring or you're of,
Well,
I don't know.
Nicholas Roerich, the painter, went to one of the temples in Tibet, and they showed him. It was kind of like a sign-in book for visitors, and one of them was Jesus. So
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I don't think people realize is that he was everywhere. He traveled everywhere. There are documents or history, oral history that speak of him even being, learning amongst the pagans and the Druids, the Celts.
oh yeah, no,
That's way up in
Do
the
you
UK,
think we have
England.
his age wrong then? Because he was only
Ah.
33 when he was crucified, apparently.
yes,
Yeah,
but
So-
then
he
he
didn't die though. He had lots of time.
but yeah, I mean, he could etherically have reconfigured himself. There's an old book out there called "He Walked the Ley Lines,"
Mm,
and it's about Jesus walking the ley lines
right.
and being in this country too.
Mhm.
So I mean, they have, Merlin could have been, you know, they say he did and didn't exist, and
But people believe there were actually 7 different Merlins.
yeah,
So, I don't know. There's a lot there's a lot out there that I think warrants the
but
research.
spirit as spirit can take human form.
Yes. Yes.
So fade in and fade out. Come back another time.
Right.
But their Scarabray has places where they used to send the wisest of the children in the tribes to be taught by visitors.
Mm.
One was very tall and wise, and another was very, very small. And at some point, they were just gone. They didn't come anymore. So,
Mm.
we've had wise teachers come into this time frame and
Yes.
try to help us. Usually we kill them. Um,
Yep. So it would seem.
yeah, but
Right.
stop and think today. If somebody was actually just and not preaching an organized religion, just preaching a philosophy,
Yes. Yes.
people wouldn't pay attention. That poor old man in Times Square has to be the 5th or 6th generation with a sign on him that says the end is near.
No kidding.
It's a family business.
Right.
people wonder why there's a police station right in the center of Times Square.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
You're like, why is there a police station here? Well, take a look.
Yeah.
Sit down,
the
have a
whole
seat,
world
darling.
there.
Let's just look. Let's
No,
just
but
people watch. Yeah.
you see ministers on TV and you see them preaching a message and they totally believe in it. I don't think any of them are crooks,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure that I buy their message. You have to do it my way or you won't be saved. And the reality is you have a spirit inside of you that is immortal. You already are saved.
Right.
You're traveling through time. Your purpose is to gather information to become so wise.
You're a
So
miracle.
yes, but our purpose is to become so evolved
Right.
that somewhere down the line, millions of years in the future, we break through into another dimension and become the source of all creation for that dimension.
That's that would be very difficult considering where we're all at right now. Uh,
Well,
it
yeah.
feels like we're in preschool, even those of us who
Oh,
have been back a
definitely.
gazillion times because
But
we
but
can't get
stop
it right.
but stop and think. You are aware of a
Yes.
spirit within you.
Yes. That's evolution in itself.
So you know that there's something else going on here.
Right.
And I don't know however many lifetimes it takes,
Mm,
but knowing that at some point in time you will be the source that will seed another universe.
right.
It's kind of cool.
It's pretty cool. I
Not
agree with
not
you.
today and not tomorrow, but
Oh, come on.
ah,
Come on. This is a rough ride. This is a rough ride, and it sounds like it's going to get a little rougher.
only because you can deal with it.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean
Perspective.
that's
Perspective.
it's kind of like it's a challenge. So take your creativity and do something with it. Don't sit back and moaning.
Here we are.
I did a big thing with it. It's behind her.
That's right.
My
My
creativity
gray
is
with the
huge.
Buddha belly. He's awesome. I know. He's awesome. I love him. No, I completely agree. I completely agree. It's hard to believe we're already like almost at the top of the hour. So tell us what you have coming up next. Tell us how everybody can find you. And let's finish off that way.
Okay, well, I'm at barbaradelong.com,
Right.
and the website for the cards in the deck is Cosmic Deck of Initiation. Had to stop and think.
Which they can get from your main website
Yep,
as well.
it's on the
Okay,
main
good.
website.
Okay.
And I do at least a weekly show where I interview authors. And as of the end of the month, I will actually be doing free readings on Blog Talk Radio every Friday for a couple of months just to get the cards out there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, guys, you can reach out to Barbara. And look, she's got that nice little place on the Cosmic site as well where you will respond to them. So they can go in and pretty much put their comments and you will reply back
Yes, with great wisdom,
with great wisdom, especially.
hopefully.
We need to do
I
coffee. I
adore
would
you.
love to do
I
coffee
know.
with you.
I adore
Seriously,
you.
the three of us without we don't even have to be on camera. Like, I mean, recording, just a conversation. I could listen to you for hours.
Ah, that's so nice.
Seriously.
Well,
I
I'm
adore
old,
you.
so
You're
when you've
not
been,
old.
I'm
Only as old as you
79.
feel.
You don't look it. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm
No
serious.
way.
Oh.
You look fantastic.
Stay
No.
sharp. That's
You
what keeps
remind
you
me-
young.
yeah.
Stay sharp. You're sharp as a tack. I wouldn't worry about that at all.
Well, when you're doing something you love,
Yes.
it's not work. It's such a joy, and it's fun. It's work from time to time. It's work, but I always learn, and I learn everywhere I go. Pick up something. So it's been a joyous ride so far.
Well, you've just made it a much nicer for us this evening. And I know that everybody in chat has really enjoyed listening to you as well. And I'm just thrilled that you came on. Maybe we can do it again sometime.
I think we are scheduled in August.
Are we scheduled again? Yay. Okay, so I never got
Good.
that far ahead. Okay, good. Let's go double check with a date for everybody.
Good.
Yes, we are.
Yay.
August 23rd. And I already think I know what I'd like to talk about. So I will message you. There we go.
Well, we could play with the cards too.
We could play with the cards. That would be fun. And I think I would also like to touch on giants and your view
Oh,
on
sure.
that as well. Let's just mix it up. We mixed it up tonight and we just got so much in there. And it was fantastic. So
Well, I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Oh my God.
thank
It was
you.
an
Thank
honor
you.
for us. Thank you.
So I will be in touch with you after the show.
Okie doke.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Hey,
You too.
good night.
Good night.
Well, everyone, we've come to the end of another fantastic segment. Isn't she delightful? I just love her to death. She's just so just tells it like it is and does it with style. So big thank you to Barbara DeLong for her wisdom and her knowledge. So thank you, thank you. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee. Big thank you to Dr. Snick. We appreciate you guys so very much. Thank you, Steve McGinnis. Next week, guys, going to be another real great week with guests. Of course, Wednesday welcomes back our dear friend, Preston Dennett. Woohoo! New book, people. He's got a new book. And
Yay.
and you're going to have to tune in and he's going to tell us all about it. He's always a delight to have on. We're always so excited when he knows he's going to be spending the evening with us. So that is next Wednesday. Thursday night, we have a newbie. We love it. I always say newbie is this brand new guest because it's, he's got to kind of get used to our style and everybody has a great time, which we're really grateful. But it's always nice to share and learn, from somebody new. So it's going to be Jeff Olsner, and he's going to be discussing how his life was forever changed as an exchange student at Finhorn Foundation in Scotland. We love Scotland, Amelia.
Oh, yes.
And he learned why our connection to nature is so important. Gosh, people, go earthing, hug a tree. I say it all the time. But
not if you're up this way. It's
that's
too
true. Don't do
smoky.
that
Wait
right
until
now.
next week. Wait until next week.
Yeah, just back away right now from the
We
forest
are
right now.
literally on fire. The whole
There
country.
we go. But he's also going to talk about his groundbreaking work with climate scientists and team of remote viewers to gather insights about climate change and mitigation. I thought, oh my gosh, this sounds like fascinating. So that's next Thursday. Go barefoot. That's right. So everybody in chat, thank you all for tuning in. You make it that much more fun. But for the record, because we don't ever want you to think we're ignoring you, when there's a show on, which does not happen very often, like last Thursday we played an archive because we couldn't be on the show, and it was an amazing archive. We do take care of you. All those shows are amazing. But I noticed there's a lot of activity and I didn't see it all until I got into the chat room
no.
on YouTube after the fact. And I'm thinking, oh my God, our people, we don't ever want you to think that we're ignoring you. So if you don't see us responding back or acknowledging you guys, it's because chances are you're listening to one of our archives. And
Yeah.
again, doesn't happen often.
No, Bill lost internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we do our best. We like to include you all in our show on a regular basis. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you all next week.